Welcome to Don't Fear the Weight podcast with your host Vicky Masita, bringing together science and personal experience.
Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Don't Fear the Weight. It has been a while, right? So it's been a little bit of a wild ride. As you know, I have been off the scenes a little bit, just concentrating on some competitions and concentrating on my guys and girls who are competing all over the world. And it is so exciting. However, it's great to be back, and it's great to have in the hot seat the very one, the very only Mr. LS McClain. LS, good morning. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, doing very well, doing super well, actually.
That's amazing to hear. Now, LS, I met LS actually in the European Powerlifting Conference over in Ireland, not this year actually, which was extremely enlightening. And I was so impressed with what LS had to say, not realistically about his powerlifting methods, even though he gave a great demo on how to perform the bench press. But I was more actually enthralled by his talking about his approach to powerlifting and his approach to his lifestyle and his approach to gratefulness in the industry, and that is basically what we are going to be talking about today. But before we get right into that, LS, can you just tell everybody who you are, why I've invited you on this podcast, and what makes you such an amazing world-class powerlifter?
You know what? I don't know about amazing, but I lift a few weights here and there. Like you said, I am LS McClain. I'm from Texas, smack dab from the heart of Texas. I actually really grew up playing American football, running track and playing baseball, and of course playing basketball. So I grew up in a small town where we pretty much did everything. So as a result, of course, the more sports you play, obviously you're introduced to some type of formal training. Well, that's where my story kind of starts, because it was actually just stronger than average, if that makes any sense whatsoever. I was a little bit stronger than average. So as a result, I was always the guy in the strong kids group. So I was always put the bigger guys. I was always the small guy with the big guys. Here's the funny thing. I've never from grammar school all the way up to when I graduated with my master's, I didn't like lifting weights.
Oh, funny.
And so, it wasn't until I was probably like 2 years out of grad school. I was just kind of working out, and a couple of guys introduced me to powerlifting. And I say introduced loosely because I was actually forced to train to go to a powerlifting meet. Did my first meet, won it, set a lot of records. About 3 months later, I'm at USAPL on Raw Nationals, and I win it. And the next thing I know, I'm going to my first world championship in Russia, in Suzdal, Russia, and it's kind of snowballed from there. The momentum just kind of picked up, and I think the biggest thing that I learned just from start to present day was just find people that know what they're doing, listen to what they have to say, and just kind of get lost in the moment and have fun, just learning and getting better at it. And so honestly, from that point to present day, I was able to collect. At this point, I think I'm about 4 or 5 national championships deep. I've won 2 IPF world championships. And I got a couple of IPF silvers, a couple of IPF thirds. So I've kind of just, I've been around. I guess this is year 6, and it's weird when you think about it. Because most of the guys that that I've competed against, they've been competing 10, 15, 20 plus years. And so for me, I thought, at least in the States, like, Les, you've been around for so long. And you look back, like, well, actually, I've only been around for like 6 years, but it feels like, the way the sport is, it feels like you've been around forever. And that's kind of, where my journey, actually meeting you starts. And we actually met at the EPC as a result of just, I guess I would like to call it training and hard work and just kind of being at the right place at the right time. And, so I guess from all that to present day, I've always, I've kind of been the same way about training. Even when I played football, ran track and all that stuff, was just, I always try to have as much fun as possible and just enjoy being there, enjoy being in the moment. Anybody that's ever played any type of organized sports, they'll tell you, you remember a few highlights from the games. You remember a few highlights from competition, but the parts you remember most are hanging out with your friends, having a good time at practices and training. And, so for me, powerlifting has always been fun because the training part, though training does suck, especially when you get, to those high percentages, and you start hurting a little bit, you're in need of that taper so very badly. Training always seems to be fun because that's for me, that's always the time you get to kind of have, your camaraderie, get to hang out with your friends, talk a little bit. I mean, because to be honest, even when you're in competition, you only spend, I think for me, I did my own stats. I spend maybe 25 to 30 seconds actually doing the lift from the time I, from the time I unrack it to the time I actually complete the lift and re-rack it. So in all honesty, you don't even spend a full 9 minutes on, you spend 4.5 minutes total lifting.
Yeah.
And you spend all this time preparing for these 4.5 minutes of completing these lifts, assuming that you hit them all, of course. And I mean, best case scenario, you're going to spend, maybe 5 minutes. So let's just say you spend 5 minutes completing these lifts. You have to have done something in between that time to make you enjoy it the whole time through. So for me, I just try to enjoy every single moment of it, from the time that, you get up to the warm up, to everything else, to the time that you're sore all day long. My whole thing is just enjoy the moment, get lost in the moment, have a good time in the moment, be grateful that you can do it, because there's people that can't. And so, I mean, that's pretty much where I'm at in my life. So, I mean, those are the people that follow me, that kind of know that that's kind of my mantra, just kind of enjoy the moment, have a great time. And those that don't, well, there it is. That's how so it's kind of started from early age, like from the time that I started to present day. I try to enjoy as much of this as possible.
Absolutely. And I live by that mantra as well, because let's face it, life is too short, right? Life is too short to be boring and to not enjoy what you're doing, especially when it comes to something like powerlifting. So one thing I wanted to bring up, because I absolutely love your Instagram. I just think it's absolutely hilarious. Powerlifting can be a really, really boring sport, right? Because all you're going to be doing is bench, squat, and deadlift. And that's what you're going to do. Various different rep ranges. You can add some change. You can add some pauses. You can add some higher rep range, that kind of thing, right? But bottom line is you're only training those lifts, so it can be boring. Now, with you've got one of these things on the IGs that says, name that tune. And you give yourself a little dance and things like that. So tell us a little bit about how you've incorporated music into lifting a squat. And because people sometimes kind of go, oh my God, he's not taking it seriously. And, if you can dance, you're not squatting, so tell us a bit more about that.
I think, okay, so the crazy thing with the name that stuff that I do, it's just because I don't know, as far as I don't know a person alive that doesn't like music, number one. Number two, it's music, as far as I'm concerned, and I mean, history will even show you, it's one of, if not the only thing that has such an impact in terms of bringing people together. And so sometimes I'll post something about a song that I like, or an album that I listen to, or something that someone sent me, and you'll get 100, 200, 300 DMs like, oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I like that. Or I never heard that before. So I was like, you know what? I have such a good time with just listening to music, and because I have such a wide array of songs and music and genres that I like to listen to, I was like, well, what if we can introduce people to different things? And, there's, where I'm at in terms of my age group, I'm not a young guy, but I'm not an old guy. I feel like my friends call me the bridge. And so my music tastes, they kind of reflect that. So what I started doing is like, well, for my old friends, I'm going to start just putting on songs that, that they remember from like when they were young or whatever. So I was like, name that tune. And it was just kind of like, I was just joking around. And I started just getting a lot of response from, oh, I haven't heard that song in years. And man, I forgot about that song. And, what other songs you listen to? And so I would literally, this is no joke, like, I'm not lying to you. I would spend at least 2 hours every day just talking to people about music.
Really?
And so I was like, well, yeah. So send me some suggestions. And so some of the ones that I didn't know, I still to this day, I'll take notes of them. Like, I'm going to go and listen to that, and I'm going to put it on Name That Tune for the people that haven't heard it. Or I just started doing it more and more and more and more. And now it's kind of one of those things, like I'll hear a song like, oh man, I like this song. I'm going to Name That Tune with it. And so it's kind of cool, because for me, it's, again, like you really pointed out a really good point. Powerlifting is, it is boring. Let's be honest. It's boring. And then at the same time, it's so repetitive. It's the same thing over and over and over. Okay, awesome. So, you know, the thing that I even now as you know, I mean, I like Instagram, don't get me wrong, but even now it's hard for me to follow people if they're just doing the exact same thing over and over and over. I can watch, you know, a guy, you know, squat, you know, 300 keys. That's awesome. I can go watch, you know, a girl squat 200, you know, 20 keys. That's awesome. You're still squatting. It's the exact same thing. You know, it's just there's a different person doing it. And so for me, I was like, well, what else do you do? So even the people that I tend to follow, the people that I tend to interact with, the people that like, what else in your life? What's in your life that I like identify with aside from lifting weights? Oh, what music? That's awesome. So I was like, well, I'll just do that. I'll just talk about music a lot, and I'll talk about, you know, obviously I talk about shoes all the time and music and everything else. So I started doing the name that tune more and more and more, and I started seeing where more people, even my favorite people on IG, they started like interacting more, like, oh man, what about this song? Hey, do you remember this song? So I was like, you know what? Just start doing that. And I started doing name that tune. And so of course for me, I always have a little bit of selfish reasoning behind it, because for me, it's like if you put it up, people identify with it, people like it, odds are they're gonna suggest different music. Sure. And so I get some of the most amazing suggestions for, hey, listen to this, or they'll send me a link for this, or hey, my cousin's in this band for this. So I try to do, this is funny, like you'll get a kick out of this. I try to do a live name that tune at a concert too. And so I'm gonna do this name that tune in the middle of the concert, right in the middle of the mosh pit. So I have my phone and I'm like, name that tune. And as soon as I try to get the word tune out, some guy hits me and my phone just goes flying.
No.
It all shatters into a million pieces. So like, you know what? Maybe I'm just gonna do it for my truck from here on out. But yeah, I mean, it's probably, honestly, like the name that tune is probably my favorite part of Instagram, just because I know, like, well, I know I've done this one, and I started, you know, taking notes of like which ones have I posted, which ones haven't I posted, you know, because I think I did it twice. I actually did name that tune twice for a song, and people got upset, like, this, we've already heard this song, you've already done this song. I'm like, whoa, okay. So it's kind of, you know, it's cool. No one's ever asked me about that. I appreciate that. No, you know, it's funny that people kind of, you know, they kind of become accustomed to like, hey, this is, you know, I'll go to this person for technical advice. I'll go to this person to find out, you know, where's the best place to eat. And then, you know, I'll get people, they come to like it so much. I'll get these texts or these messages like, hey, so what are we doing for Name That Tune today? Or, you know, when are you going to bring back Name That Tune? And so because people started getting so used to it and waiting for it to come, I was like, you know what? I got to stop doing it for a little bit to keep them on their toes. And then I started taking notes of like, not hard songs, but like really rare songs that I know a lot of people know, but they just forgot they know. So I'm about to go into the 80s. There's so many songs in the 80s I completely forgot about, that, you know, that are really good 80s songs that people just completely, I forgot about them. So yeah. I'm excited about it. I think we're gonna, you know, because I've done theater, I've done Broadway, hip hop, a little country, but I've neglected the 80s. So I think I'm gonna start doing some stuff from the 80s, man. That's good. It's good music in the 80s. But yeah, man, that Name That Tune, that's my baby. I like that. I almost made a shirt for her, but I was like, oh, people might not like this. They might think it's corny, but you know, whatever.
I think you should, because it's something that you enjoy, and it's something that makes you happy, and it's something that interacts with other people. And I think, like you were saying, you forgot about stuff that happened in the past. And it's all of a sudden, it's something that you can bring up and have a happy memory about. And it really does get people together. And I really appreciate that. I tell you what, if you do a shirt, I want the first one in tiny size. So
for sure.
Tiny size. I actually took a leaf out of your book and I put an Instagram up. It wasn't Name That Tune, but it was just like, guess what I'm diving to before I go and do this squat. So it was an overreaching squat when I was just practicing and doing some potentiation type stuff. And there was no music on. It was on my headset, and I was just kind of jamming it around. You know what? To this date, even 2 weeks later, nobody's ever guessed it.
I think that's, as far as you know, social media and everything goes, I think people forget that's the best part about, you know, social media and having a platform for social media. You know, however you use it. I mean, if you choose to use it whatever way, but if you use it in terms of just interaction, and you use it in terms of impact, and use it in terms of, bringing people together, it can be such a useful tool. You really do a good job about, you're very informative, with your social media. And at the same time, like, people can kind of get a glimpse, into your life, what you do, how you do it. And then not only do they get a glimpse into what you do, but then, you do a good job about, it's almost like an easy conversion to, like, also, this is what my people are doing. They're about to compete. They're about to do this. This is how many macros I've been taking. This is how many, how much, we've had to adjust this person's, strength and their, their volume, versus their intensity. And so a lot of accounts don't necessarily do that, and they have the potential and the ability to do that. But I think people are afraid to just kind of, honestly, for me, social media, if you choose to follow a person, it's almost like you're walking by their house and you get to peek in their window and see what they're doing.
Sure.
And so, some people decide to keep the blind shut so you can't see anything pretty much. They just want to say that they have an account. And some people like yourself and myself, like, some people they open up the window, but I feel like you and I, we're the type of people like, hey, I'm going to open up the door, walk on in. This is what's going on. And I feel like, you get a lot of if my account is any indicator of, interaction, I'm sure you get a lot of interaction with your account in terms of how people, they respond, and, they're almost, they're almost waiting for you to say something so they can say something back. And, when you're able to, build a rapport with people to the point that they want to interact with you, they're not necessarily followers anymore, though you may not even really know them, and they might be thousands of miles away. They're not. I don't really like the word, in a way they become your actual friends. And so I was thinking to myself, like, how would I talk to one of my friends if they were across the table from me, and so that's really how I kind of treat it. It's kind of treated like, hey, come hang out with me. If you want to see what I'm doing today, that's awesome. If not, whatever, whereas, some people are like, hey, this is what I'm doing. Look at me. I'd rather like, hey, let's all do this together,
Absolutely.
So, the accounts that I tend to follow are those type of people, and the people that I interact with, or to see me, they tend to be those type of people. And so, it doesn't matter if you have 3,000 followers, 2,000 followers, 500, if you have, 300, a million, I don't care. If you have the type of account that just draws me in for me to follow what you're doing, it takes a lot, man. For me, it takes a lot, because, at this point, it's everybody is almost doing the same thing.
For sure.
And they look and they follow, all right, well, what is so-and-so doing? Okay, they have 100K. So whatever they're doing, I'm going to pattern what they're doing. I'm going to do what they're doing. And, or, what's the new trend? All right, awesome. I'm going to do what the new trend is so that I can get more followers. Or the part that really hurts my heart here lately is people try to figure out what the algorithm does. Like, what can I do to get more followers so that I can impress the algorithm so that I can get more impact? For me, I'm like, who cares? Like, if you're trying to beat this algorithm, which honestly, if anybody that's in any type of mathematics or any type of program would tell you, you don't necessarily beat an algorithm. It's not possible to beat an algorithm. As soon as you think you figure it out, guess what? If it's not a self-adjusting algorithm, then somebody on the other side is going to adjust the algorithm so it makes it a little bit harder. You know what I mean? What's the point of if everybody having 400,000 followers?
For sure, yeah.
It doesn't make sense. There's a reason why these people have 1 million. There's a reason why these people have this. There's a reason why these. If people like you, they're going to follow. Or here's the awesome part: if people want more followers, they can actually go out and buy them. So it doesn't necessarily matter about the following. So for me, I'm just like, dude, I don't care how many followers you have. I just want to see what you're doing, And if it's awesome, I can hang around a little bit. Like, awesome, cool. If I find myself going back checking 3 or 4 times in one day, I'm like, all right, cool. I should follow this person because I feel like they have something to offer that I really want in my life. So there it is. So the more fun people tend to have, and the more not necessarily transparent, because I don't necessarily want to know everything that goes on in your life, but the stuff that you choose to share, if I feel like it's enriching or if it's a good time, then I want to know about it. I feel like, if people approach it that way rather than, okay, I'm not going to follow them unless they follow me back, or, they're not sponsored by this person, or they don't follow this person, I don't know if I can follow them. Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense. You don't do that in your real life, so why would you do it with social media?
Yeah.
So And again, I mean, for some people, it's an, like yourself, you use it as a tool, to reach people and make this impact and get this interaction, and it's awesome. And other people just use it as, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, it started off with just, hey, I want to show you my pictures, and then it went from, I want to show you my pictures, like, hey, well, look at me, So
Yeah.
people use it almost as a tool of vanity. So for me, I'm like, well, while it's awesome to take these selfies and everything and look at me and look at me and look at me, like, it's your account. You can choose to do whatever you want. But also at the same time, if your account is a reflection of the type of person you are, then, are you that vain? Are you that type of person? Like, hey, look at me all the time. If your account reflects that, then I don't know that I want to really follow a person like that. I don't know that I really want to spend my time being around a person, because if that's the type of person you are, every time you stop and you see yourself in the mirror, oh, check me out, look at me. Then I don't know if I want to be that. I don't want to be that type of person, nor that I want to follow that type of person. I mean, me, I just laugh. Like, honestly, this is no joke. Every day I laugh. I try to laugh as hard as physically possible every day. I go to bed watching something funny every day. So, I mean, like, man, let's just have fun. I just try to have fun. I mean, you only really get this life one time. So, I mean, why spend it, trying to be this super serious person all day, every day? It's not possible. It's not possible to laugh all day, every day, but I sure try every day to try to laugh every day.
Yeah. I mean, your positivity is just infectious as well. I mean, let's actually take it the other way. Have you ever found yourself into a completely dark place where you found it really hard to drag yourself out of?
A couple of times, man. And it never was like, man, it's never been, something that is permanent. You know what I mean? Like, there's some things that you can't control, with the death of a loved one, losing someone that, that you love, those are things that you can't necessarily control. I think that I've always lived by is, like, I cannot control my actions or another person's actions, but I can always control my reaction. And when you're beyond that point where you can't control your actions, I mean, there's some things that are just so dark, it's just so hurtful that, I don't necessarily feel that you're supposed to just, all right, you know what? Let's laugh about the situation. There's some things that you're supposed to naturally not be able to get out of. I mean, there's sometimes in people's lives that, you have to hurt and you have to be in pain, because I honestly believe there's a yin and yang in everything, but there's no way you're going to always appreciate the great things in life without having some bad things in life happen to you. Yeah. It's like, your first love. I mean, if you're lucky enough to marry or end up with your first love, that's awesome. But there's a pretty high percentage that your first love, you're going to end up breaking up. You're going to end up going opposite ways. And, that first heartbreak hurts so bad. And you're just kind of like, oh my God, the world's over. The world's over. And then that day comes where you realize, you know what? I'm going to live. It's not going to be that bad. And so then when you do find that person that you love so much, you love them twice as much as you love the person before, but again, you didn't know what love was till you realized this is love. So, for me, I've had moments, in my life that, I mean, I've never felt like giving up, but I mean, I've had moments in my life like, oh man, this sucks. Yeah. I don't know about this one, and you sit there for a little bit, and I don't know. I think if you're that type of person that you have just enough pride, enough self-reliance, and enough self-go behind you, you make yourself get up. Or if you surround yourself with good people that know the type of person you are and know your potential, they're the type of people that help you get out of that situation. There's things that you can't control, but then there's things that you can control. And there's been times that I've been just down and out, but then I think to myself, like, dude, I chose this. This is a result of my actions. I chose to do this. I chose to put myself in the situation. So I have no reason to be woe is me. I have no reason to be down the dumps and act like, the world is over with, because I chose this. So if I can choose to put myself in the situation, I damn well better be able to choose to get myself out of the situation. And, a lot of times it doesn't take much. It takes, for me, it takes so much energy to stay negative. It really does. And, and the only way that you can stay in that negative state is you got to keep thinking about that negative, whatever it is, that negativity, that negative moment, to keep you in that moment. Like, you have to keep thinking about it over and over and over and over, because honestly, in my opinion, there's there's far more like good things going on in the world than there are bad things. It's just that people, they find a way to either put a telescope to find the negativity, and then once they get it in the telescope, they just keep zeroing in. So they go from the telescopic view to a microscopic view to try to stay focused on that negativity. It takes a lot of energy to keep doing that over and over and over. Whereas you can do something as simple as just, you can literally walk down the street. This is no joke. Walk down the street for 5 to 10 minutes, and you're gonna see something that's just awesome. You're gonna probably see, you can see honestly an older person kind of walking, hanging out, probably just enjoying the day. You can see little kids just like running around, chasing each other, playing around. You know, you'll see dogs fighting each other, just cracking up, playing with a bone. You'll see something in your day, throughout your day, that's gonna make you laugh, or it's gonna make you smile, or has the potential to make you happy. But people try so hard to focus on something dark, negative. You know, that, you know, it's, one, it saps your energy. Two, it takes so much for a person to keep doing it over and over and over, that honestly, the process of trying to stay mad, the process of trying to stay angry, the process in itself of trying to stay negative, that's just a hurtful thing, you know? So I've never really been the type of person to try to focus on the negative rather than just, you know what, if I just kind of let it go for like 5 or 10 minutes, I'm sure something, you know, that I'm going to see, or something I'm going to do, or something that's going to happen to me, you know, within a 5 or 10 minute, you know, period, is going to make me happy. So again, I've tried to do a halfway decent job about surrounding myself with those type of people. But you know, it's not like that for everyone, but for me, that's kind of been the thing. I've gotten to a point a couple times where I'm like, oh man, this sucks. Oh my God, I don't know if I can do this. But then, you know, give myself, you know, I always tell, you know, it can't last more than 24 hours. I'll give myself a time, like it can't last more than 24 hours, you know? And so it's, so far, the fun really stays that way. I mean, I think as adults, we kind of know the way life is and the way that life just kind of, you know, processes itself. There's negative things that are always going to be around. There's going to be things that we're going to have to encounter that's going to suck. And we foresee, foresee those things happening. We just have to be prepared for them. So I don't know, I just try to armor myself with just a lot of positive stuff. I don't know.
I totally agree. I have a thing that I put out on social media, and I do it every single day. And I always tell people to go and find their happy. Go and actually find your happy, right? Because, like you said, life is too short. And I have a very beautiful client at the moment who really is struggling with a little bit of a bout of depression. And all I've asked her to do today and every single day this week is go out and get out of bed, go for a walk, and take a picture of something that she finds amusing or she finds beautiful. That's beautiful in nature, and it can be absolutely anything. And today she did it for the first time since Monday, you know, so it was a big thing for her to do. And what made her happy, or what found her happy, in this picture that she sent me, I have to share it because it's amazing. It's a dog that is wearing a cape and a pair of reindeer antlers.
Yes.
Right now, the thing is if that doesn't make anybody smile, then, you know, something is going wrong in the world. But it's something like that you can just pinpoint and share that memory, and you go, do you know what, that made me really happy today? The dog wasn't very happy, but it made me happy.
The weird thing that I found is as weird as it sounds, is laughter in itself makes people happy. Doesn't matter who's doing it. It doesn't matter like what they look like. If you're in a dark room and you hear someone laughing, you're gonna smile or you're gonna chuckle, just because laughter, you know, is so infectious. You know, which is it's crazy. You look at a lot of these, you know, again, I'm kind of a nerd. If you look at a lot of these, you know, famous comedians right now, you know, your Kevin Hart's, you know, even you can go back, you know, Jerry Seinfeld, Eddie Murphy, Richard Pryor, you know. I mean, you can go down the line of all these funny comedians. The thing that you know, the pattern that you notice from all of them is, it's not that they're this super funny guy. Here's the funny thing. I know guys that are super funny. They just, I mean, and I'm sure you know people that they just have this sense of humor. They just have this ability to say stuff. Their delivery is just amazing. They make you laugh with almost anything they say. It doesn't even have to be anything funny. I believe those are actual funny people. I mean, I think Kevin Hart and those guys are funny, but they have this ability to make masses laugh. And if you can make 5 people laugh, odds are those 5 people are going to affect another 5 people, and those 10 people are going to affect another 10. And as soon as, you're going to have 20 affecting 40, affecting 80 affecting 160. The next thing you know, you have 1,000 people laughing at the exact same thing at the exact same time. They're not necessarily laughing at what you said, but they're laughing at the moment that they're in with someone else. And so it's the same thing with anything joyful. If you're having a good time, odds are the people around you are going to end up having a good time. And, if you go to a party, you'll see a couple people on the dance floor dance, like, you know what, maybe I'll go out there and dance a little bit. And the next, everyone's out there. Like, people are so, again, we talk about it a lot. Like, people are sheeple. They're like sheep sometimes, and they have this ability to follow each other without really knowing what they're following for. But, if that's the case, and people are, they do have this, like, the sheeple gene, as me and my buddy talk about. If they have the sheeple gene and they're willing and wanting to follow each other, then that's cool. Why don't you get in the front and then you be the leader, and be the leader that leads them to something fun. Let's go have a good time. And so when you're able to find something, like your client, if you're able to find something as simple and as honestly as just as cute as just a dog in a cape with horns on, like, hey, that's cute. And then, it makes you smile. And the next thing you want to do is, like, let me share this with someone else. And it's not hard. It's not hard to put joy out in the world. It really isn't. It's really not. I think people deep down inside, they want to be happy. It's just, the people that they follow and or, the media that they watch or whatever they're being spoon-fed from the television, it's negative, and, negativity sells in some form or fashion for some reason. And so if that's, the overall trend, then, let's stick with that, because people tend to want to see something negative. I don't know that people really want to see a lot of negative stuff. It's just that it's become the norm. And so people are so quick to accept what's given. That's just what they roll with. And so the people that decide, like, I'm just going to be positive about this, I'm going to try to shed light instead of darkness, they don't tend to be the norm here of late. But I know that, every time I get, one of those DMs like, hey, thank you so much for being so positive, or people, they'll reach out like, hey, I really like what you say. I really like what you stand for. It's fun. It's light. I think to myself, number one, I'm super grateful, but I think to myself, like, well, why don't you do the same thing?
Yeah, for sure.
It's not hard, and again, it's all rooted in this little, it's not necessarily fear. It's just, it's a bit of uncomfortability. Like, at the end of the day, it's not very comfortable to be one of the few people that choose to be positive and focus on, something aside from negativity or, something narcissistic. Like, people just, it's not necessarily the norm to be like, hey man, instead of focusing on what I do, like, I lift a few weights here and there, who doesn't? Let's talk about something funny, or let's talk about something that makes people happy. People they sometimes get weirded out from it. So, why? I have no idea. It's not hard to be happy, but I think at the root of it all, when you're happy, it makes you, it really just kind of opens you up, and it's not a high degree of vulnerability, but it's just enough that you actually have to let your guard down to really just be truly happy and be happy for everyone around you. And people want to be guarded, and people wanted to, they want to be armored up. And when you can just, like, take the armor away, put your sword and shield down and just kind of enjoy the moment, you're not protected, you're not behind this wall. You're actually just, hey, you're opened up, you're having a great time, and your heart is exposed. And people want to guard their heart so much. And I don't believe your heart was ever meant to be guarded. Your heart I feel like your heart's meant to be given as many times as possible. Sometimes you get hurt from it. That sucks. But how much easier, how much more lovely is it, to just be able to express how you feel to a person, and to be able to have a great time, and be able to just almost be worry-free for just a few seconds, a few minutes, a few hours, just not to have to worry about anything and be so guarded. For me, it's relief. It's freeing. And so I'm like, I just want to live my life this way. So, when you're able to, to communicate that to other people, like, hey, you know what, how about we try to find something that just makes you happy. If your client can find something to make themselves happy, then, you're helping them develop a pattern of, what, if I can find something like this simple to make me happy, I can find something else to make me happy. And, it's, again, so you're not only coaching, but you're also, you're almost like giving life lessons at the same time. So it's not hard, man. The thing with love and with joy is it's so infectious and it's so impactful that if people just give it a shot rather than focusing on the negative, I feel like you get a lot more done, a lot more accomplished if you just have a good time and just love, have joy, just have fun. So again, that's just me. That's just my take on things.
No, it's cool. And I think it's a really nice place to leave it on as well, just to kind of say, I use it. I call it hippie woo-woo shit, right? It's my hippie woo-woo shit. Yeah. And if you don't like the hippie woo-woo shit, then that's fair enough. You don't have to. But I think finding the positivity and finding your happy in every single day, and you can find the happy in everything. You find the happy in a boring setup for a squat by including name that tune and having a dance, And
the thing that I always ask, even in my podcast is, I can ask you this because I think it's awesome. I always ask, like, what's that moment for you, not just in lifting, because I think, you're a great lifter, but you also do bodybuilding and you actually watch what you eat, and I don't. But and I know that from all my friends and family that go from platform to stage, the hardest thing is just from hearing them speak on is the routine and being repetitive and just making sure you're eating right, and that that you're adjusting your nutrition according to how what you need. I know nothing of that world, but when you're in that I call it that last stage, that push right before you get on stage, I'm sure you're hungry, I'm sure you're tired, I'm sure you're completely depleted. Like where do you find that I call it the go button? Like where do you find it? Like where do you find that?
I focus on the light at the end of the tunnel. I never ever focus on the here and now at that point, because there are dark days in a bodybuilding prep, because you are on some ridiculously low food. Your cardio is ridiculously high. You've still got to go and lift weights. You've still got to, I've got a family, so I've still got to obviously run around after my kids. I've still got to walk the dog. I've still got to love my husband to the nth degree, which I do anyway. And the fact is that if you focus on that dark period, you'll never get out of it and you'll never get past it. So what I always say is that there is always a light at the end of the tunnel, no matter how small it is. But if you focus on that light, it becomes bigger, and it becomes bigger and greater every single step that you do, and every single rep that you do, and every single goddamn egg white omelet that you've got to eat every day before you get on stage. Because you can't have the whole egg, but that dark place becomes smaller. Because if you have a look at a train tunnel, if you head towards a light, the light gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and the darkness behind you gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So that's all I end up doing. I focus on the darkness getting smaller, and for the sake of it, again, like you were saying, it's you choose to do this. Nobody's forcing you to do it. So if somebody says, do you know what, this prep is so hard and I'm tired and I'm lethargic and I'm depleted and I can't lift 2 kilos above my head anymore, it's just, I hate it and I'm so depressed, it's just like, do you know what, dude? Is it worth it? Is it worth you going through that then, if that is the case? Because to me, it's not. To me, my end result is being on stage. And like you were saying, the thing that's really depressing, right, about bodybuilding is that there's no game day. There's no game day. You have all of this preparation. And so for some natural bodybuilders, it can be like 20, 24 weeks worth of prep. For you to stand up on stage and for you to basically go, judge me, right? Now, this is it. With powerlifting, with CrossFit, with anything else along those lines, with endurances, with football, there is no question. It's just like, no, he lifted more than that person. He ran faster than that person. Whereas you can step on stage and you think, damn, I look damn good. I've given my heart, my soul, my everything into this prep. But that person there says I'm not good enough.
And that's the part that I just don't get. That's the part. Oh my gosh. Man, a lot of people follow me know that one of my best friends is Ryan Dorst, the Natty Pro.
Love him.
And so he's doing this, he's all in his prep, and I remember him telling me, like, yeah, man, I'm gonna do it next year. Like, next year, yeah, I'm starting now. Like, what are you starting? He goes, yeah, I'm gonna start the diet. I'm like, the diet? Dude, what are you saying? These are foreign words to me. What are you talking about? And so, because he had just, when I met him, he had finished the show. And so he was kind of in his off season. And that was around the same time. I mean, I literally met all these guys around the same time. I had met him, and I met, Berto. I had met, Berto Nunez. So Berto had just done a show. It was in 2014, I believe. So Berto had just done a show, and he was 2 weeks out from being on stage and getting ready to do a powerlifting meet.
Right.
Mind you, Vicky, this is the first time I'd ever seen a natural bodybuilder. So all I had ever known for bodybuilding was, Lee Haney. I only knew Arnold and like all these big, Mr. Olympias. I didn't know anything about, natural bodybuilding. And so I walk in the back room and Berto's warming up, and I just see this dude, and all I see is just shreds and sinew, and he was getting ready to do a setup, and I remember I watched him. He had his shirt was off, and he gets ready to take a breath to brace, and I literally just see veins. Like, I'm like, I didn't even know that was. I honestly did not know that was humanly possible. So he does a couple warm ups, and then he puts on a singlet. And again, mind you, I was like a year and a half, 2 years into lifting at that point. I saw his abs through his singlet. I'm like, this isn't even possible. And something like, wait, I got to be that way to be like a top power. I'm not joking. That's how I had to look to be a powerlifter. I'm like, no, that's Berto Nunez. He just got finished doing the show. I'm like, oh, okay. What do you mean a show? Like, yeah, he just did a bodybuilding. So I was like, wait, he's bodybuilding and powerlifting? That's possible? And so that's how I had ever known of bodybuilding. So, fast forward to, early last year when Ryan started his prep, this dude is like, he's starting to get thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner. And I was like, so what do we eat? And he goes, yeah. I was like, I'll eat what you eat. And so he gets like this, it looked like, honestly, compared to what I normally eat, I'm like, this is literally a handful of food. There's no way you can survive off of this. And he was just bouncing around all day. Just, I'm like, dude, I'm dying inside. Like, how are you able to do this? And so, fast forward a little further to right before he gets on stage, he is, I remember I FaceTime him, man, and this dude could barely hold up the phone.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, how you doing? He goes, I'm in the final push, man. This is what it's like. I'm like, wait, you knew this was coming and you're still doing it? He goes, yeah. He goes, but I'll get on stage and it'll be worth it. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And so he gets on stage, and I think it's a new word I learned. He put together a great package. I didn't know any of this. To me, I was like, dude, you put together a great package. I tried to figure out the terminology and everything, right? And I thought he got on stage and everybody he was, standing next to him, I'm like, oh, he's gonna kill him. Because from what I learned in the, 3 or 4 years that I've known him, is bodybuilders take, 2, 3, 4 years in between shows sometimes. I didn't know any of that.
Right.
And so I was like, oh, well, you've been gone for a while, man, and your muscle density is a lot higher. And of course, our friend Samo, he had just won, all of that. I didn't think he even lost. I don't think he lost at all, in 2017. And so I'm, surrounded by all these natural bodybuilding pros. I'm like, all right, I think I got it. So I look at Ryan's picture. Oh yeah, he got to at least have gotten, top 3. And he's like, yeah, man, I didn't make call. I'm like, what? How? That makes no sense. Like, you clearly look better. Like, and he's standing next to a guy that, in my opinion, looked a lot flatter than he did. He didn't, like, it was just weird. And I could never, even now, I just don't get it. Like, I look at pictures of my friends, yourself included. I'm like, oh yeah, they won it. That's an easy win. Like, what? They didn't win?
Yeah.
Who's the winner? And I look at the winner, I'm like, okay, all right, it looks pretty good, but doesn't look that much better than that. Doesn't make any sense. So like, they got top 5. Like, I don't get it. So I applaud and hats off and applaud anybody that can do it, because again, for me, I just, again, I always know that I wanted to ask you that question, because I'm like, dude, how do y'all do that? I always want to know, because they, Ryan talked to me a couple of times, man, you should try to get on stage. I'm like, nah, dude, there's no way. I'm not gonna starve myself and go through all of that to get on stage for somebody like, hey, good try, buddy. Maybe next year.
Yeah, right. High five.
No, here's the thing. I'm starting to see, there's, the bodybuilders that go to compete, and there's one young lady, she literally told me, I'm going to compete, but I know I'm not going to win, but I'm going to get the notes. You're what? So you're going through all of this to get notes? There's no way. I thought she looked amazing. She's like, no, I know that I'm not going to win, but I really want to get good notes on what I need to do. I'm like, what?
Now, you see, that's one thing. That's one thing. You said that really well, right? I want to get the judges' feedback to see what I need to do to improve.
Yeah.
Right? Now, that's not for them. That's for the judges. So they're saying, what notes do I need from you to make me win, in your opinion?
Yeah. And you're not even going to be the same judge,
exactly.
Probably next year.
Exactly. And what happens to, and how can you make this perfectly designed body? Bodies don't react according to notes. Bodies don't react. We're not books. We're not books. So for somebody to say, do you know what, you need to bring up your shoulders? What does that mean? Do I just need to shoulder press a bit more? Do I need to lateral raise a little bit more? You need to bring up your glutes. Okay. What does that mean then? What happens if you just have an anterior pelvic tilt? So you have what I call a Pink Panther bum, and you never have, that beautiful, gorgeous Black woman's bum that just sits there. I'm insanely jealous of every single time I see one. But, I have a Pink Panther bum. And it's, unfortunately, no amount of squatting is going to get me that posterior tilt.
We're not all going to be built like Sherry Miles. No one
exactly, right?
Sherry Miles, I no lie, sometimes, like, she'll post, and I'm like, you are literally built like a stallion. Like that.
Yeah.
Jealous of Sherry. I'm like, how is that even possible? It just, and so for a judge to tell you that you need, A through Z, well, genetically speaking, I don't know that that's possible. And people say, well, you can't always blame genetics. There's some things that genetically you just cannot help. I mean, or you'll need 15 years of training that specific area over and over and over in order to accomplish, whatever these notes say. And then let's say that you take 3 to 4 years off and you have these notes posted, on your wall, and you work on those things every day, all day. You come back 3 to 4 years later, and everything they say that you needed, you go and you do. And guess what? The trend is different now.
Yeah.
And that's the part that I don't, I was looking at bodybuilding, both women's and men's bodybuilding, from 10 years ago. And it's completely different than the trends are now. I don't even know that are they even doing women's bodybuilding anymore in the Olympics? Like in the Olympia, like, it's so weird to see that stuff, When I was introduced to bodybuilding, like, all I knew was like Lee Haney, Dorian Yates, and all those, Sean Ray, and all those guys. So that's all I ever knew. Like, they were like right after Arnold, had the way Arnold and Columbo and all those guys, the way they looked, they were just just super symmetrical and just tiny waist, and then I think Dorian Yates kind of blew it out of the water. It's just like, all right, he's just this massive human being, and then I think you fast forward like 3 or 4 years, and then there's oh God, what's his name? Oh my gosh, I can't believe I just forgot his name.
Phil Heath?
So what? Yeah, Phil Heath and Kai Green, they're these huge, they're just huge, they're big, and I'm like, I don't get it, But then you see like, oh, well, where did that huge trend start? And then of course it was when Ronnie Coleman kind of just like, all right, guess what? Not only am I going to be, symmetrical and big and have this tiny waist, but I'm also going to be this larger than life human being. And then after that, everybody was just starting to get big, 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 big. Now they don't even look real. They look like action figures. Yeah. So, and then you notice like, it started, from, when Linda Murray was, on stage, like she looked like this angel, you know what I mean? Like just this muscular angel. Corey Everson, like they look like they had a super feminine look, but they were, they were muscular. And then it starts getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And so I was like, all right, I kind of know, like when I was, when I was watching it, I thought about, like, you know what, maybe I could maybe do some of this stuff, but I don't know that I can get that big. I couldn't get that big naturally. So again, I didn't even know natural bodybuilding even exists. I was like, well, I don't think I'm ever going to take anything. So I don't think I'm ever going to get that big. And I see how these guys eat. There's no way I can eat that much. Nah, man, I don't think I'll ever be able to do it. But I just like to get in the gym and just, try to look the best I could. And then you find out, like, oh, you can actually do this stuff. But then you guys will go and, like, oh, my friends are doing it. Oh my gosh, she looks amazing. Like, wait, what? There's somebody out there that looks better than that? How? And when I look on the screen, I literally see everyone looks amazing. And then and it's like you see the people that look like you guys, like, I mean, and no knock to your competition, but I see you and some of the girls like, oh my God, they look amazing. And then you see some like, oh, okay, you really don't. You try though. You know what I mean? Like there's and I try not to be mean about it, but that was the same way when I watched Ryan. I'm like, oh, those guys look awesome. Wait, they look way better than this guy. But how's this guy? Again, I started learning a lot of stuff. Like, wait, how's this guy he's getting called back, and he's in the center, and he's in the dead center. So they're comparing everybody to him. He's trash.
Yeah.
Like, how's he? But but then I found out, like, there's politics and this and that. And what? But it doesn't make a lot of sense. But again, for me, I know that powerlifting is my sport because it's all based off of, the numbers that I put up. Awesome. Because if I were to work, 20, 30, 40 weeks of this prep, and I go to this competition and they tell me that I'm not good enough in comparison to this other person, I would lose my mind.
Yeah.
But then again, like one of the things that you just pointed out, Ryan points out, is Ryan always says, like, you accept. Berto says it. I think Berto put it best as, when the pain's coming. After you've done a couple shows, when the pain's coming, when it's supposed to hurt, you just embrace it and you don't let it consume you, and you become a machine, and you go and you do it and you do it and you do it and you do it, and you don't let it deter you from living your life. And so I honestly started kind of taking that approach, with powerlifting, and shout out to Berto for that, because I didn't ever think that I would ever, take some of the, some of that from bodybuilding and actually bring it to my powerlifting. But there's that part when you get into week 6 to 8 of your of your training block, when everything seems to hurt, and for some reason, and it's weird because I know that it's coming.
Yeah.
But for some reason, you feel like your coach is absolutely insane. Like, why is the volume doing this? Why is the intensity doing this? Why have they met in the middle? Why am I hurting from my teeth to my toes? It makes no sense. But you accept the fact that it's going to happen, and you almost fall in love with the process, because like, all right, if I can make it through this dark, like you said, this darkness, at the end of this tunnel, at the light at the end of this tunnel is going to be, I'm probably going to be stronger than I've ever been. So I just got to make sure I adhere to what I'm being told, stick to these numbers, be completely transparent with my coach, let him know how I feel. If I need a taper in this point, then get it so that I can come out as strong as physically possible. So it's one of those things where, like, the process everyone has to do it.
Sure.
And if you go through the process and you stick with it and you trust, what your coaches, have you do, and, obviously if they know what they're doing, and you get to the end of the tunnel, you're like, oh my gosh, this is the best that I've ever been. So as long as I can do it powerlifting, I'm fine. I don't know that I could ever get on stage to do it, because again, I'm so emotional. I'll probably start crying and walk off stage. I just like, I give so much to this. But that's another thing. Sorry, I'm like asking questions because I have a million questions. This is a question I didn't want to have for you. I'm sorry for your listeners that want to hear about me, but that let's have a lot of questions.
Okay. I should come on your podcast. We should just do a whole nother episode.
Yeah, you know what? That's what we really will do. I'm just gonna have me on my podcast, and it'll be a lot easier. But I mean, I think a lot of times, because people that follow you and they listen to your podcast, I think a lot of times people forget that, not only are you asking questions, but you also know what you're talking about. You know what I mean? Like, you're not just it's not just entertainment. But the thing that I did want to ask you is, I mean, in all of that, like when you're in the middle of prep, right, and you're doing all that, like, is it is it hard in terms of just decision making? I think that's because like I was thinking like, well, how Ryan was when he was in that very last 2 or 3 week push. He's like, the hardest thing for me right now is just keeping my mind focused to make sure that my clients are getting everything they need. Do you find that that's kind of hard? It's not that it's hard to focus, but that you're so depleted with energy and everything. It's hard to really not necessarily give your clients what they need, but do you find it's a little bit more difficult to kind of stay focused, not necessarily for yourself, but just for the people that are dependent on you?
Yeah, for sure. So what I found on my last prep, I was the leanest that I have ever been. Like,
right.
I couldn't even sit down for longer than 20 minutes without my ass hurting because it was that lean. You have striated glutes and it's not very nice. The thing with you get this neurological taxing thing is that because you're so low on carbohydrates, you have this almost brain fog and you just can't get out of it. Now, how you were saying, say again?
That's what he was. Yeah, he was saying like it goes like it's like my thoughts are cloudy. Like, so I think what Ryan was doing, he was like writing down everything. Like when thought would come to his mind, he would like write. He's really big on writing stuff down. Like I stole that from him. He writes a lot of stuff down. So so he does. It's like foggy.
Yeah, it is. It is. And it's because your body is dependent. All these people who say that you can live without carbs and you can just go on a keto diet, they're completely and utterly insane because you can't live without carbs. You never go completely carb free. And even the keto guys who do go completely keto, they still have a carbohydrate refeed every 7 to 14 days because their body needs it. Now, if you've ever gone, how like you had that meal out with Ryan and you just kind of said, oh, I'll just eat what you eat. And he gave you the same amount that he was eating. You were like, dude, I'm dying here, because of that. That's how you feel inside. But with your brain, you can almost feel snappy and you can almost feel like everything is pissing me off. So even when you can get this voice at the back of your head and it's just an annoying chatter, like if you get this beautiful little boy or beautiful little girl and they're 3 years old and they just kind of go, mummy, 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 mummy. And you just try and ignore them because you're concentrating on something else, but it just gets louder and louder and louder and louder to the point where you just kind of turn around and snap and you go, what? And they're like, I love you. And then they run off and it's just like, oh, God damn it. I love you too, but I'm really sorry that I had to snap at you. And this is what happened.
Right.
But the way that you get through that is that, well, the way that I got through it, this is just the way that I do it with my hippie woo-woo shit. The way that I got through it is that I put my priorities in order. So all of my clients were done first thing in the morning where I knew that neurologically I was very, very focused. Because if I had to talk to my clients or I had to do my check-ins with my clients after I trained, when I was even more depleted and I had like this measly little bowl of rice or something, I knew that there was no way I was going to be focused to be able to manipulate their macros or their training accordingly to what they needed. Wow. So I put them in a list of my priorities. So that was done first thing in the morning. Then my children obviously were at school, so they had all of the snappiness. That was not for them because they were at school. I then made sure that I had some dinner with my family because that was another priority. We then all went out on a walk with the dog outside after dinner because then again that was getting some fresh air. Fresh air does help clear your mind. And it really does help clear that brain fog. So anybody who is suffering from brain fog in those later stages of life or later stages of bodybuilding prep, I would just say, go and take yourself for a walk, put on a podcast, listen to some music, just take in the birds and the bees and everything like that and take and be one with nature, because that will help clear your mind and it will really help enlighten you. So that's what I did. And then when I got back, I made sure that I made half an hour to 45 minutes worth of myself and my husband having just time to talk to each other. Right. Because talking helps. It really does.
So you were like, so you really prioritize, like that's, so you almost have to be like, you have to just like block your dates, and just kind of, so, you're way, I couldn't do that. Not at all.
The thing is, it's everything about what you're willing and able to do. That's what I always say. If you are willing to do something, then that's absolutely fantastic. You can make it happen. However, if you are willing but not able to, that's a completely different scenario. So it's all about what you are willing and able, because you know that you can probably do these things. You know that you can probably diet. You know that you probably can get low percentages.
Probably.
Yeah, but you probably can. The fact is that you're just not willing to do it because you're not a bodybuilder. You like powerlifting.
No, I will openly admit, and I think a cool thing, like even just in what you're saying is like, I don't think people realize is you have to know your limitations. Number one. And I feel like that's a key to happiness, is knowing what you're able to do and knowing what you're not able to, knowing what you're willing to do and not willing to do. Just knowing who you are as a person. So me, I know right now I don't have the mental fortitude, nor do I have the patience with myself to diet and to go into prep. While I think it would be awesome to do one day, I know it's not right now. Plus, I mean, I've learned from just watching a lot of guys that try to do both. You don't necessarily get as strong as you want to get. One has to go, one or the other. And right now I love being chubby and I love being super strong. And you know what? I'm going to do that until the day comes that, maybe I want to actually try to get on stage. But, for me, I think the key for me, being happy has always been, I've always known my limitations, and I've always known what I'm willing to do, what I'm not, willing to do, what I'm able to and not able to do. Again, there's not a lot of people that are able to do both. You're able to do both. Kudos to you for that. There's not a lot of people like myself that are able to do that have, the mental discipline to do it. I mean, while it's a completely different type of discipline from bodybuilding, to powerlifting, it's all discipline at the end of the day. But I know right now that higher degree of discipline that you have is something that I don't possess currently. And it's the cool thing about being a human being, we're adaptive. And, we grow and we evolve, and maybe one day I will be able to have that discipline. I don't have it right now. But, the fact that you're able to put all those different things together, like that's, again, like this conversation, this is the type of stuff that makes me happy. Figuring out like, oh, wow. So if I want to get better, maybe I should try to do this. Maybe I should try to, work on prioritizing like points in my life. Because again, while people don't understand that, it's easy to have a good time and it's easy to have fun. There's a formula to everything. There's a formula to having happiness, I believe. Like it's not just, all right, I'm just going to go find happy things and have, like, you have to, there's a formula to it, again, and I feel like a big part of that formula is knowing your limitations and knowing what you're able to do, what you're not able to do, and knowing things that, things that trigger you.
Yeah.
I that trigger me. I know things that make me unhappy. So I tend to try to stay away from those things. People, the type of people that you're around that can trigger unhappiness. So you have to learn, like, hey, let me stay away from those people. Or, you even know I know the type of exercises, the type of, when I look on my sheet, I'm like, oh shit. I gotta do rows. I hate rows. And so I know that, what, when these rows come up, I've got to make sure this is when I play Disney music in the gym.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that. Yeah. We love Disney music.
Yeah, so, during deadlifts, this is no joke. The guys always laugh at me, but we play Disney music when we get to, like, when warm-ups for deadlifts up until, like, our top sets, and then the music changes. Or here lately, because it's Christmas time, everybody that comes to the gym after 8 o'clock, we play Christmas music. So it's like, you have to know, again, for me, I know that, that's my limitation. I know that, what, if I'm at the gym after 8 p.m., then that's a possibility that I'm in the hardest part of my hypertrophy. I'm in the hardest part of the assisted lifts, the parts that I hate the most. I can do big three all day, every day. But when you start telling me that I need to do curls, I need to do push downs, I need to do, straight arm pull downs, I absolutely loathe. I loathe them, but they work so well for me. So I'm like, all right, I'm about to get into part of the training session that I absolutely hate. Hey man, cue that Disney music, or hey, cue that Christmas music. So again, you kind of have to know your limitations and what you're able to do and what you're not able to, and again, what triggers you. So I don't know. I'm glad we're having this conversation, because I needed it this morning.
It's nice. It's nice. So, okay. So final thing to end on, because we've been rambling for such a long time and I've enjoyed it so much. I can do this for hours. What's your guilty pleasure then in terms of music? Because I have it. So when I talk about a guilty pleasure, it's music that triggers you that you know, honestly, in the back of your mind, really shouldn't.
Oh man. Oh my gosh. Right now, my guilty pleasure. It's this dude. You know what? It's not even mumble rap. It's. Oh man. You know, I don't even know how to explain this dude. I'm actually gonna put him up. Because I can't even say the name. I don't even know how to say his name. It's this guy. It's Tisa Korean, and literally his name it's TISAKOREAN. Tisa Korean.
Right.
And he doesn't even have an album. He just has a series of just singles. And there's a dance actually. It's called the Woe. The dance is called the Woe. And here in the States, dude, everybody does it. But he honestly makes absolutely no sense at all. But I'm telling you, for some reason, oh man, every time I hear his songs, I'm like, all right, I can lift now, or I'm ready to go. It puts me in such I honestly giggle half the time because like it doesn't make any sense. He literally has there's a song that he has. It's all of wow. This song is only like I think it's like 2 minutes 30 seconds, and of that 2 minutes 30 seconds, he literally says, "You just want the cake. I just want the cake." Literally, that is a lyric. It's the worst lyrics you'll ever hear in your life, but it is, man. It's so catchy. It is so catchy. But he has a bunch of just different, like 6 or 7 different songs that you can listen to over and over and over. But I'm actually gonna start putting some of his stuff up. I literally am going to get slaughtered by some people because I have a lot of pure hip hop heads out there that just listen to like Jay-Z and Nas, like the greats. So when I put this guy up, I know that I'm gonna get made fun of so hard. But that right now, that is my guilty pleasure. Everything else, just puts me in a super good mood. I like I said, I know I probably shouldn't be listening to Mulan in the background when I'm trying to pull 320 keys, but I should still put it on. But yeah, right now this guy Tisa Korean is the one that I don't think anyone with any halfway decent taste in music should be listening to this guy, but it's so catchy. You know what I mean? And I kind of laugh at it. It's really just music it kind of like it's almost like a cardigan, a good cardigan. It shouldn't fit so well, but it fits so well. Like I've had this cardigan for 20 years, but I should get rid of it. But it fits so well. It's one of those types. It's so bad that it feels good, And so right now, that's my guilty pleasure, And again, as with guilty pleasures, like this can't keep going. It's at some point I'm gonna have to get rid of it. But right now, I'm gonna give him one more week, I think, and then I'm gonna have to move on to real music. But right now, this is the worst music I've ever heard in my life that I just keep listening to over and over and over. So, those are the people that end up listening to it. Do not judge me from this. Again, we pointed out this is guilty pleasure. So a guilty pleasure clause allows me to have it for 3 more weeks and then I'm out.
Absolutely. So, okay, so cool. So I'd like to invite you onto the guilty pleasure challenge then. So I want you, the next time you pull 300 kilos or wherever you're going to pull it, put that on and hashtag and tag me and say, Vicky, which one's your guilty pleasure?
I think I forget what I have to do today, but I might actually play it today and just tag you so you can hear it. But yeah,
that'd be amazing.
It's bad, it's horrible, but it is what it is. I don't know.
I'm looking forward to it already. It'll be awesome. Right. Well, listen, it has been an absolute God-sending pleasure to speak to you today, LS. I have enjoyed it.
I appreciate it.
Guys, I am going to put up all of LS's social media links underneath here in the comments, so please give them a follow. And if you've got any other questions or comments or anything that you want to share with us, then please put them in, and we'll make sure that you get back, or we get back to you as soon as possible. So thanks again, guys, for listening to Don't Fear the Wait. Thank you so much, LS, and we will catch you next time.